Yep. Inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What kind of slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. With I'm gonna burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports. It is April 18th, Saturday. Thanks to everybody who hung out for the bracket specials last night. Couldn't get a hold of Clint, but I did my solo bracket specials. I filled out the NHL and the NBA. You can go check it out. I think I'm satisfied with them. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, the NHL is usually chaos, so I think do a decent job kind of fading what the public thinks, except kind of agreeing with them in the NBA, but I think they're actually not putting enough weight into kind of how good some of these better teams are in the NBA against some of the other teams. So NBA tends to be pretty chalky with these long series, big spreads, whatever. We went 3-0 here on the show yesterday. I'm going to try to make this a quicker show because I got to get out of here and get my face tortured at the dentist, which I absolutely hate. It's going to be terrible. I know already it's going to go horribly. We have I'm only going to give out one play on the show. It's in baseball, which you could guess based on the odds. I'm skipping the game ones in the NHL, NBA. Sometimes I do. I mean, I'll tell you what my opinions are, but a lot of times I'll skip it. I'll wait to see what outliers happen in game one and then come back and play game two, fade the outlier that happened in game one. That tends to be my approach. The zigzag or the situational zigzag, whatever we want to call it. The selective zigzag. Really don't like the baseball board today very much either. But I think I have one play that is hopefully going to get us a win. Really risky. Well, not risky, but, easily you could have a loss when you have one play on a particular day. It could be a losing day, Speaking of which, we were on a 28-10-1 run here over the last 14 days now. We won all 3 plays last night. We had that first 5 under, or yesterday, I should say. First 5 under. Royals, Yankees, that got there. The Yankees had a 2-0 lead after 5. The full game went under as well. I think it was a 4-2 Yankee win. The full game maybe would have gotten a little bit risky if it went into extra innings because of the stupid ghost runner, but it was definitely an under game. St. Louis, Houston, you could kind of feel like that over was going to be correct right away. Like St. Louis was only winning 1-0 into, I think, the 3rd inning maybe, but they had 1 run on 4 hits in like the first inning. I don't know how they only got 1 run out of that. But then, the floodgates opened, and I think St. Louis wound up winning that game. What was it, like 9-5 or something? So we definitely got the over there. And then Phoenix, pretty easy win in NBA as well. So both of my side opinions were correct in the NBA last night. Phoenix did not implode for once, and Golden State did not have another miracle comeback in them. Phoenix was actually able to hold the lead, put it away at the end. Got a little bit chippy. Draymond Green, I think it was with Devin Booker. They got in a fight right near the end of the game. The game was over at that point, but they both got ejected with, less than a minute left in the game. It was stupid. Less than a minute left in the game. Whatever. Phoenix was at least able to put it away in that one. All right, we'll move on to today. Let's get into it, man. Don't want to take too long with the show. I think we'll be it'll be fine with this show. We'll probably go about an hour on baseball, and then we could get through the playoffs, hopefully. Playoffs. All right, we have Kansas City at the Yankees is the first game up. A lot of afternoon baseball. It is Saturday, so tends to be a decent amount of afternoon action here. A lot of these games on MLB TV, pretty much all of them are, actually. I think that is usually the case. Anyway, the Yankees won yesterday, like I said. I think it was 4-2. Looking at the bullpen usage, the Yankees used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. The Royals used 2. Yankees, I think, do just have the better bullpen, though. Royals bullpen has just stunk. They're actually dead last in WHIP now. They've managed to fall behind the Houston Astros, even after the Astros were pretty disastrous yesterday. Yeah, this is not a good bullpen right now, even though I expected a lot better out of KC's bullpen. The Yankees haven't been great. They're 20th in bullpen WHIP right now, but better than the Royals. Yankees do have the better offense, even though I think the Royals have actually potentially hit better than – no, where are the Royals at? I was going to say, I thought the Royals may have actually done a little bit better than the Yankees offensively so far. The Yankees are at 16th, but I think we know they have the better offense. No, the Royals are 27th. They're definitely behind them. Still getting the lay of the land here, man. But, yeah, Yankees have those advantages there. Starting pitching, you could make the argument there is an advantage on Kansas City's side here with Noah Cameron pitching. Pretty talented young pitcher. Did pretty well last year in his rookie season. 3.94 ERA, 1.25 WHIP. That WHIP you'd like to see maybe being a little bit lower there. He struggled in his last outing. He was good in his first 2 outings, had a bit of an issue last time out, which might not be a good thing, the fact that it was against the White Sox, who are a putrid offense, so that's not a great sign. He got taken out, didn't throw that many pitches, though. Maybe we could make the argument that was a blip, though, and he'll bounce back here. I think we still don't know that he's in, like, some prolonged bad form or anything like that. He's going to be a little bit more rested, maybe in bounce-back mode here. He has his numbers against the Yankees are hard to gauge. 17 at-bats against them isn't a ton. 5-2 strikeout-walk ratio is not great, but not awful. 176 average allowed is good. He's only allowed 3 hits. The problem is they're all extra base hits, so he's allowed an 851 OPS to them with a Chisholm double and then home runs from Judge, of course, and Wells. I don't know how we gauge that, man. It's difficult to say how Cameron is going to do in this game, which I have a hard time figuring this game out. Will Warren is pitching for the Yankees. He's not that bad, dude. Like, he does have decent strikeout stuff. Last year, he was significantly better at home than on the road, even though this is a hitter-friendly park here. He's got pretty good numbers this year so far, really. A 2.45 ERA, 1.25 WHIP is not horrible. 20-6 strikeout walk ratio and fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning is pretty good. It's a good strikeout rate, maybe a couple too many walks in 18 1/3 innings, but he's been good. He hasn't gone deep into games, though, so that may be an issue. That means the Yankees' bullpen is probably going to come in for a decent extent in this game. He's failed to go 5 innings in 3 of his 4 outings, so that's not good, even though he hasn't even pitched that badly. His numbers against the Royals are good, and 17 at-bats, both pitchers have allowed a 3 for 17 clip, but the difference is Warren has allowed no extra base hits to the Royals. 3 strikeouts, no walks, so 176 average, 353 OPS. So you could make the argument that Warren does actually have the pitching edge here, and he does pitch better at home. The Yankees are probably the right side here. They're up from -145 to -170, though, so you're having to lay a big price on them. 82% of the tickets, 99% of the cash. That's probably not accurate. I don't really see a great angle that I can find here. I think it's just difficult to figure out what you're actually going to get out of these starting pitchers. So I think you kind of want to fade the bullpens. The money's coming in on the under. There is maybe an argument to be had for a first 5-inning under. I wouldn't want to deal with the bullpens, but 66% of tickets on the over, 54% of the cash on the under. Total did drop from 8.5 to 8. Money indicating on the under. There is definitely a world where both these pitchers pitch well enough to accomplish the first 5 under. Probably looking at about a 4. Maybe you could, I don't know if maybe even you can find a 4.5 on that. Maybe that's the best angle of attack in that game, but I don't love the game at all. Jay Main, what's up? Good to see you again. Royals, 5-game losing streak. Yeah, good point. They're bad on the road, 2-8 on the road. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Yankees probably win this game, but I don't like the price. Like, I don't know if you laying that price on the money line seems a little crazy. If you really want it, like if you forced me to give you a side, I would say make like a -1 run line or find a -1 run line with the Yankees, but I don't love it. Cincinnati at Minnesota. Minnesota didn't win yesterday. I thought they would win with Joe Ryan on the mound. He basically did his part, but Minnesota's offense went completely cold in that game. They've been cold really the last couple of games, except for the ninth inning against the Red Sox. They put up some runs when the game was already over. Minnesota, not a good bullpen. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday as well. Cincinnati used more. Cincinnati used 4, so might be a situation where maybe you want to fade the bullpens here. Minnesota's bullpen is bad. They're 4th worst in WHIP. Not a good ERA either. Cincinnati has actually had a decent bullpen this year. They're in the middle of the pack right now. Pretty decent numbers, but the rest scenario is not totally great. Minnesota's been the better offense this year, 9th in OPS, even though I don't fully buy into their offense being that good. The Reds' offense has been so bad that they actually fell behind the White Sox and into last place. They have the lowest batting average and OPS right now. Unbelievable. Below a 200 batting average. Really, really crazy stuff because they do have better talent than that on their offense. Andrew Abbott is pitching for Cincinnati. His numbers, they're not good this year. I think he is better than this, though. 5.85 ERA, 1.7 WHIP, bad numbers. He's not really a guy that blows hitters away, but usually he is a guy that comes out there and locates his pitches well and does all right. Really, his numbers are kind of being skewed because his last outing was really bad against Anaheim. But he's not in good form right now, dude. And overall, he has way too many walks. 12-8 strikeout walk ratio. That's not good. In 20 innings, 26 hits allowed. Too many hits as well. So, yeah, just overall, his numbers really aren't good. Although, yes, they're being skewed by that 7-run, 3-inning performance against Anaheim. But the strikeout walk ratio is a concern. His numbers against the Twins are really bad, although it's only in 16 at-bats. But in that small sample size, they've killed him. 562 batting average allowed, 1651 OPS. That's pretty alarming. 3-1 strikeout walk ratio. Again, it is a very small sample size. You don't want to weigh that too heavily, but his numbers do not look good against Minnesota, and he's not in good form. Going up against Taj Bradley, who has been the better pitcher this year. Bradley, maybe Minnesota's found something with him, man. He's always had good stuff. It's just that, I don't know, his walks have been kind of an issue, and Tampa Bay wound up getting rid of him. He's looked pretty good so far this year, 1.25 ERA and 1.25 WHIP, although obviously that WHIP indicates that his ERA should be higher than this. He's been pretty good, though. He's allowed 1 or fewer earned runs in every single start. He's won his last 3 starts, and Minnesota's won all 4 games that he started. 29-8 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good. Fewer than 1 hit per inning allowed is also good. The number of walks is high. He did walk 4 guys in his last outing. We got a win with that game, by the way, in the first 5 innings, I think, against Toronto. Maybe we got away with something there because he did put way too many guys on base there, but the offense really did their part in that game and blew up Max Scherzer in that game. So we did get the win on that. A little bit lucky from the Bradley side of things, although I think we still were right about that regardless. But, he might be falling into his old bad habits of walking too many guys, though. That does concern me a little bit, and Cincinnati has pretty good numbers off him in a small sample size, though. Only 5 hitters have seen him, 22 at-bats, 10-1 strikeout walk ratio, 318 batting average allowed, 939 OPS. Those numbers are pretty bad. I worry about this game, man. I lean Minnesota slightly. I think maybe they will finally have a bounce back here. I think you could make the argument that Bradley is in better form right now and actually does still have better matchup numbers, as bad as those numbers are. -130 is the number on Minnesota right now, down from -143. 80% of the tickets, 97% of the cash on Minnesota. So the money somewhat indicating on Minnesota, even though they are public. The over looks like it's getting some action. 76% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the over. I don't really disagree with the over. I mean, both starting pitchers have bad numbers against these opposing lineups. Abbott in bad form. The bullpens are either used up right now or bad. So, and it's a hitter. No, it's not a hitter-friendly ballpark. It's in Minnesota. But Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with an over in that game, really. Probably a slight lean towards Minnesota there and a slight lean towards the over. I don't even know which one I think is better, to be honest. Yeah, Minnesota team total over. They're decent against lefties. It does make sense. Their numbers are good against Abbott. He's been really struggling so far. I wouldn't disagree with that, with Minnesota to have a bit of a resurgence on offense, although I don't think Minnesota's offense is as good as they've looked so far this season, though. They're in kind of rebuilding mode, really. Yeah, the Twins have won 7 of their last 10. I don't really buy that, though. Like, I don't think they're as good as that. And, like, a couple of those wins against the Red Sox were pretty much complete bullshit. So you had, like, just crochet, complete implosion. And then I think in the next game, there was just some weird, I forget what it was. Something weird happened in the game after that. I think it was some close game. I don't know. I forget exactly what it was. Mets at the Cubs. The Mets are still on a losing streak. The Mets have lost, 9-10 games in a row now? I don't know what this is. They got blown up yesterday, 12-4. But if you look at that box score, it's interesting because both teams had 14 hits. So this game was not as lopsided as the final score makes it look. Like, you rarely see teams tie in hits and have that much of a blowout. And the walks weren't really that much of an issue here either. Well, I'd have to look into the box score, but I'm pretty sure the walks weren't really anything insane in this game. So very, very strange that, like, most of the Chicago base runners came around to score. The Mets stranded, like, all their base runners in that game. But I think that might give you a little bit of value on the Mets in this game here, although the Cubs are only a very small favorite here. But the Mets weren't as bad as they looked yesterday. The Cubs were not as good as they looked yesterday. The Mets are, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but the Mets do have a starting pitching advantage in this game. So maybe this is finally the game where they're actually able to do something. Looking at the bullpen usage here, Mets only used 2 relief pitchers. Manaea came in and ate up a bunch of innings yesterday, so their better relievers are pretty much available here. So that's good for the Mets. Both bullpens have been decent this season as well. The Cubs used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, so their bullpen is in slightly less good of shape here, but still not bad because it was a blowout game yesterday. But yes, both bullpens have been all right. The Cubs have had a good offense, by the way. The Cubs struggled offensively early on, but their recent explosions have moved them all the way up to 6th offensively, and that's the edge they have here. Is the Mets' offense has not hit well, although they've been dealing with injuries. I mean, you know that the Mets have a better lineup than this, though. They're 3rd worst in OPS in all of baseball right now, but I really think they're going to come around. Like, the Cubs have started coming around. I think both these offenses are pretty talented. And like I said, both bullpens have been decent. They're running 13th and 14th, Cubs, Mets, respectively. That's not bad. Freddie Peralta, though, might be where we have the biggest edge here with the Mets. He's good, man. They brought him over from the Brewers this year. He's been pitching pretty well this year, too. 3.86 ERA, 1.14 whip. He's only allowed more than 1 run once this month so far. 25-8 strikeout walk ratio. Fewer than 1 hit allowed per inning. 16 hits in 21 innings. None of that is bad. Pretty good numbers out of him. Against the Cubs, he has good numbers in a massive 205 at-bat sample size because they're, of course, very familiar with him because he was in their division. But that familiarity has not led to success. 74-26 strikeout walk ratio. Those are just big numbers. It's probably a few too many walks, but he's held them to a 171 batting average and 614 OPS. The 10 home runs allowed isn't that bad considering it's a massive amount of at-bats. But, yeah, Ian Happ has 3 home runs, but he's only 4 for 37 off him. And Bush has 3 home runs, but he's only 3 for 20. So, yeah, Peralta, yeah, he's allowed some home runs there, but he's been good against the Cubs, man, in general, and he's been pretty good this year. You're on first 5 under in which game? Under 8.5 in which game? 8.5 would be a full game total. Which games are you on? What was I going to say here? Oh, yeah, Jameson Ty on his pitching for the Cubs. He has been okay this year. I think he's just too much of a fly ball pitcher, man. It's a little bit of an issue, but 4.86 ERA right now, 1.26 whip. Those numbers aren't too bad, and they're being skewed by one start where he gave up 6 runs against Pittsburgh in his last outing, but it was because he allowed 3 home runs, but it was in Wrigley Field, which is where he is today, too. The fly balls are definitely a concern with him. He got unlucky in that game, though, you got to say, because he only allowed 6 hits, 2 walks, and had 10 strikeouts. Those numbers are not bad, and went 6 innings, but the 3 home runs blew his start up. But, yeah, he was definitely unlucky there. Did throw 100 pitches, though, so maybe he's going to be a little bit tired coming into this. His numbers against the Mets are not great. In 140 at-bats, he does have a really impressive 41-3 strikeout walk ratio, but yet again, the problem is they've taken him for a lot of power. 293 batting average allowed, 865 OPS, 7 home runs allowed, 16 doubles. So he gets knocked around by these Mets hitters typically. I'm going to lean to the Mets. Yeah, I probably would go full game on this actually, because I was thinking, I don't know if there's really a bullpen edge one way or the other here. The bullpen rest seems to be fine for the Mets here. Maybe even actually a slight advantage to them because they use Manaea to eat up those innings. I like the Mets in this game, but the money is indicating on the Cubs. After the Cubs initially dropped from -138 to -107, I don't know if there was a pitching change or if money came in and drove that number down, now only to grab the Cubs at the smaller number, because we have 62% of the tickets on the Mets, 89% of the cash on the Cubs. So the market read is all over the Cubs. It looks like there's a huge cash versus ticket split in the direction of the Cubs. I don't agree with it, though. I like the Mets in this game. What can I tell you, man? I disagree with the market a lot in baseball. One of my disagreements yesterday was an easy win with the Giants yesterday, although I did not add that to my card. But, yeah, you're on under in this game. I don't know, man. I could see the argument for it. I don't know. I don't like Tyon's. My hesitation would be Jameson Tyon as far as going under in this game. I think, he does have a tendency to give up some long balls, although the fact that the total is not that high, it's at 8.5, it does mean the wind is probably not really a factor in this game, though. So the wind is at least not blowing out in this game, so that might help with the under there. I don't have a good read on the total. The money's indicating on the over in that game for what that's worth. 71% of the tickets, 86% of the cash on the over in that game. San Francisco at Washington. Washington in the return home spot yesterday. That was one of the reasons I liked San Francisco in that game. Plus, I thought Logan Webb, pretty big pitching edge in that game. Kind of mad I didn't add it to my card, but it is what it is, man. Also, San Francisco has the better bullpen. Washington's bullpen is not good. But, yeah, San Francisco got the win. A lot of times when a team returns home from a road trip and they have a bad game there because they get distracted being back home, whatever, a lot of times they will do better in the next game. So Washington might do better coming into this game. But there are a lot of concerns with Washington. Their bullpen is very bad. They used 3 relief pitchers yesterday as well, which isn't horrible, but their bullpen is just horrible. San Francisco used 3 as well. Looking at who these guys have in the bullpen, San Francisco's clearly the better bullpen, even though they're kind of middle of the pack right now. Washington is in the bottom, several bullpens. Washington has been good offensively so far, shockingly. They're at 5th in OPS, and the Giants' offense has struggled. They're at 25th, so you got to give Washington an offensive edge here. Starting pitching is really kind of difficult to figure out in this game. This game, obviously, I only have one play today. I'm being very selective, and this game is not it either. Adrian Hauser is pitching for the Giants. He's been a journeyman, man. He's been around. I think he was on multiple different teams last year. He actually pitched decently for the most part last year. His numbers aren't very good this year, though. 5.06 ERA, 1.56 whip. Not good numbers. He's definitely struggled a bit here. Just really not good numbers overall. 10-5 strikeout walk ratio with 20 hits allowed in 16 innings. Giants have lost all 3 of the games that he's appeared in so far. I'm not sure if all of them are actually starts or not. But, yeah, his strikeout rate is down. Way too many hits allowed. The walk number isn't terrific, really. Not good numbers from him so far, but he does have pretty good numbers against Washington. Again, it's a 3 for 17 with a double from Abrams. But overall, it's a small sample size, but 176 batting average allowed, 535 OPS, 5-3 strikeout walk ratio. Again, it is pretty hard to gauge what's going to happen here from a small sample like that. Cade Cavalli is pitching for Washington. Still a young pitcher, but he hasn't really panned out so far, and his numbers are not good this year either. 4.6 ERA, 1.72 whip. That whip is really high. That's not good. His last outing, he got really blown up. He's only made it past 5 innings once so far this season. Washington's lost his last 3 starts. His 13-12 strikeout walk ratio is really bad in 15 2/3 innings, along with 15 hits allowed. That's way too many walks. He hasn't been good, man. Giants have never seen him before, and I do talk about how when these young pitchers are unfamiliar to the opposing lineups, especially a weak lineup like this, a lot of times the pitcher does have an advantage, but I don't know if I see it, man. I would not want to have my money on Cavalli here. I think Hauser is the better of these two pitchers here. He's obviously the more proven pitcher. The money is indicating on San Francisco, even though you could make the argument situationally, it should be a bounce-back spot for Washington. I don't know about it, man. 50% of tickets, 67% of the cash on the Giants. I'll probably agree Giants here just based on the matchup. I think they do have the better pitching throughout this game. An over does make sense as well. The total has already gone up through kind of that key number 9. It's off the 9 now up to a 9.5. So there does look like there is some money on the over here. 83% of tickets, 98% of the cash on the over. It makes sense. Both starters pretty questionable here. One really bad bullpen. Probably the over is actually the better way to approach this game generally, although starting pitching, again, it is possible the starting pitchers both do well here too, though, because it's just this game is a big-time mystery. No, you got to listen to me, man. Listen to my show. I could have kept you off of the Nats game there. They were returning home from a road trip. Logan Webb versus whoever the hell was starting for the Nats. There were definitely some pretty major advantages for the Giants in that one, even though the market was disagreeing with it. You're not betting it? Yeah. Nats team total over. They have 7 lefties in their lineup. Hauser's bad against lefties. All right. Hauser's numbers are not that bad against those specific hitters they have, though. I could see the argument for it. I mean, Washington's been a good offense so far. I don't know. I don't know if I would really want to do that, though. But there are definitely arguments to be made that it'll be a higher scoring game. I think you might actually be able to make the argument for a San Francisco team total there, but they're going to have to score a lot there. Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. This is actually my game, and it is one of the TV games, sort of, because it's an ESPN Unlimited game. Drew Rasmussen versus Paul Skenes. You might be able to guess where I'm going with this game. And I know the number's a little bit dicey here. I know that like one bad inning can kind of ruin this thing, but we are going to go with the first 5 under in this game, under 3.5. I don't want to deal with the bullpens here, especially because Tampa's bullpen has been pretty bad. But we're going to go with the starting pitching matchup, which I think it should be good enough that we can get this done. That is at least the hope here. But yeah, I think we can get it done here, man. Pittsburgh did get the win yesterday. I did like Pittsburgh yesterday. I think we did get a good start out of Bubba Chandler yesterday in that one. So I was correct about the Pittsburgh lean in yesterday's game. As far as the bullpen usage yesterday, Pittsburgh used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, which, normal usage pretty much. Tampa Bay used 2, but Tampa Bay's bullpen has really struggled this season. They're 24th in bullpen whip, which is not good. Pittsburgh is middle of the road, 17th in whip. Their ERA looks a little bit better than that. Pittsburgh's bullpen is better, but not by a ton. But Tampa's bullpen has been bad enough that I want to just throw them out of this equation here. You could go full game total. You'd be getting under 7. So it is still on that key number 7, but I prefer this first half under here, first 5 inning under. We'll get the advantage of the starting pitchers while they're out there, man. As far as the hitting is concerned, yeah, Tampa has hit pretty well. They're 10th in offense, but they're going up against Paul Skenes, man. And I don't think Tampa's offense is this good. They kind of have a hole in the bottom third of their lineup, too. So I don't really think they're as good as they've looked so far. Pittsburgh's offense has been even better, actually, though. 7th, but again, I like good pitching to counteract good hitting. And the fact that the hitting has been good enough so far this year from both teams, I think that's actually keeping this total a little bit higher than maybe it even should be with this pitching matchup. Drew Rasmussen is good, dude. Tampa Bay, they know how to use him. They literally just have him go out there and throw exactly 5 innings every game, and that's what we want, 5 innings. We're going first 5 innings here. That's what they do. They keep him fresh. They go out there, get us 5 good innings, and then we'll turn it over to the bullpen. Although last year their bullpen was good, this year it's not. Although I think their bullpen will wind up being better, but Rasmussen's been good this year, 1.13 ERA, 0.56 whip. Obviously, this can't continue. And yeah, you do have to worry a little bit about a letdown, I guess, because he's coming off a 6-inning, 1-hit shutout win against the Yankees. 7 strikeouts, no walks. But overall, this is impressive stuff out of him. Overall, 3 of his outings, 16 innings pitched. They actually let him go 6 innings in that game. So my mistake, but whatever. He didn't throw many pitches at all. He was extremely efficient in that game, 76 pitches. That's good to see, man. A lot of times these pitchers, when they rack up strikeouts, they won't be efficient with their pitches, but he was. So he's not going to be burned out or anything after 76 pitches. 17-1 strikeout walk ratio, 16 innings, 8 hits allowed. Good numbers out of him, man. And against Pittsburgh, pretty good numbers here as well. They haven't really seen much of him either. They only have 5 hitters who have faced him before. They're only 3 for 13 off him. No extra base hits, 2 strikeouts, no walks, 231 average allowed, very low, 462 OPS. It's a small sample, but also I think the unfamiliarity might help Rasmussen here as well. So on his end of things, I think we're looking pretty good. But of course, I think we're expecting Paul Skenes to actually carry us through this under. Like, he needs to carry more of the weight in this under, and he's fucking Paul Skenes, man. I think he can do it here. Against what I think is kind of an overrated Tampa Bay lineup. He's got a 4 ERA so far, but we know that his numbers are being skewed from that first start where he got absolutely blown up in that first start. I think they actually should have left him in longer, but since then he's been fine. 0.94 whip. That's good. A sub-1 whip. 18-7 strikeout walk ratio isn't great, but his walk numbers started to go down a little bit as well. He's coming off 3 outings where he's gone at least 5 innings, allowed 1 earned run in each. He's Paul Skenes, man. He's fine, and they have not overworked him yet either. He's thrown at most 88 pitches in any of his starts so far, so he's actually been pretty efficient getting through these starts as well. He's only allowed 10 hits in 18 innings. We don't have to go through it all. We know Skenes is really good. Against Tampa Bay, 31 at-bats. They have a 161 average against them, 493 OPS, 5.3 strikeout walk ratio is not great, but the rest of these numbers are really good, except Yandy Diaz is pretty good against them, 3 for 6 with a home run. But the rest of their lineup has done no damage against him pretty much. So, yeah, I think Skenes should be good on his end, too. We're going first 5 under here, as I already said. The total's actually gone up, so you might be able to find a better number on this. It looks like the full game is headed towards 7.5. The money is coming in on the under still, though, even though the total has been driven up a bit. I think maybe it was a move just to try to get that onto that key number there so that bettors can come in on the under, but it looks like the money is supporting the under here. And obviously, I just gave you the reasons why. 76% of tickets on the over, 68% of the cash on the under. Money agreeing with me here. We're going to limit it to first 5, like I said, the 3.5. If you can find a 4, you might have to pay more for it, obviously. Maybe you could do that as well, but I think we'll be okay here, hopefully. Let's get it done, man. That's the only play here of the day. 3.5 is sharp. It's a good number. Like, the books just don't mess around with the first 5s, really. They, it'll be a 3.5 or a 4 in almost every game, which is why I was pretty surprised to see the 4.5 out there at the price that it was out there. That was at the Roman Emperor's book was the only place that had a price that good on it yesterday, but you could have gone under 4 and still gotten the win with that play yesterday and that under in that Yankees game, first 5. And you're tailing that one? All right, hell yeah. Hopefully I can get it right because I've been hot, as you can see. This is my only play of the day, so I'm trying to be really selective here. Seems too obvious to go under in a Skenes game, but, it is what it is, man. I mean, there is also a reason for that. I want to keep this moving here, though, man. Got to get through a lot of these games here, and I got to leave and still take a shower. All right. I was going to say one more thing. I forget what it was, though. Oh, yeah, you could have gotten, that game I gave out yesterday, you could have gotten, an under 4.5 at minus 120, too, which would have been, I think, fine as well. Maybe a little bit of a higher price, but not too bad. White Sox at the A's. The White Sox actually came out with some offense yesterday in this very offensive-friendly park here in Sacramento, this horrible AAA stadium. The White Sox won the game in a blowout, pretty much. They won 9-2, so, hey, the White Sox offense finally did something. Maybe that's a decent sign. They're still bad. They're still second worst offense. So we're not gonna change our opinion on them, really. The A's are the better offense. They have way more talent in their offense. They haven't really taken off yet. They're only 24th, but I think the A's offense is actually pretty decent, as they were last year. The A's bullpen is not good. They used 2 relievers yesterday, which isn't bad, but and White Sox only used 1, but these are very untrustworthy bullpens. The A's are 26th. The White Sox are 28th in bullpen whip. Bad stuff there. Starting pitching kind of gets interesting here. Eric Fedde, last year he was like a total fade pretty much throughout the season last year, and I think he was really, really bad when he was at home last year. He's, of course, not at home here, and he's on a different team, and he's pitched well this season so far, but he's pitching in the A's stadium, and I looked to see if he pitched in the stadium last year. He did not. So he has never pitched in the stadium before. That might not be a good thing, man. I still don't know if we can really trust him. His numbers are pretty good this year, though, and really the offense has not given him any help here. 3.38 ERA, 1.06 whip. Yeah, those are good numbers. 12.3 strikeout walk ratio, that's fine. Strikeout rate not really high, but he hasn't put too many men on base. 14 hits in 16 innings. Yeah, all pretty good for Fedde. He's actually gotten a little bit better in each start, too. Maybe it's not going to go as well here against the A's, though, in this stadium. A's, only Jeff McNeil has ever faced them, though, so he is unfamiliar to them. But he's been around for so long that there's a lot of game film on him, so I don't know how much of an advantage the unfamiliarity is really going to be for him. And Jeff McNeil has absolutely, kind of destroyed him, I guess I will say. 7 for 18 with a double off him. 3 walks, 1 strikeout, and a couple of RBIs. 389 average is what that is, and 899 OPS. But it's only one hitter. One hitter destroys him. The rest of the lineup hasn't faced him. Still, Fedde might not do well here. Luis Severino also might not do well here. He's off to a bad start to the season. 5.59 ERA, 1.71 whip. Last year, he was good on the road and really bad in this stadium at home, but he's in this stadium at home. We faded him in his last game at home here. We did get the win with that. I think it was with Texas. We got an easy win with Texas with Eovaldi easily outpitching Severino. Severino actually wasn't that bad in that outing. He managed to get 6 innings into that outing. Did walk too many guys, though. 3 walks, 6 hits allowed, 7 strikeouts, 4 runs. That wasn't that bad, but he's been bad in general, dude. He hasn't even been good on the road so far this year. So last year he was really bad in this stadium, but he's been bad in basically every start this year. He's got a 24-16 strikeout walk ratio. That's those are insane numbers. That number of walks is outrageous. The number of strikeouts is good in 19 1/3 innings, but 16 walks is ridiculous. Almost 1 walk per inning. He's allowed 3 or more walks in every single outing. He's not a guy you can trust right now, man. Fewer than 1 hit per inning, so there is that at least. And I forgot to look at his numbers against the White Sox. Yeah, they're not really that good. In 55 at-bats, 12.5 strikeout walk ratio, not great. 309 batting average allowed, 894 OPS. Those are not good numbers. So this game, I would say probably an over is what makes the most sense in this game. Maybe the White Sox have a little bit of an edge here with Fedde, being a little bit more of an unknown, maybe having more potential here. But I probably prefer an over here. The A's are at minus 157. I think because they're facing the White Sox. I mean, you're almost never going to see the A's being favored by that much. 79% of tickets, 99% of the cash on the A's. Don't know if I really buy any cash percentage that says 99. I might buy this total percentage, though. 67% of tickets, 85% of the cash on the over. The total dropped a little bit from 10 juice to the under to 9.5 juice to the over. It's still, you have to go over that key number of 9.5, but we know it's a hitter-friendly park. We know we get bad bullpens here. Both starting pitchers might do bad here. Severino hasn't shown anything this year. The matchup numbers don't look particularly good for those guys either, so I think over is the way to play that game if you're going to do anything with it. All right, Detroit at my Boston Red Sox. Red Sox walk-off win in 10 innings yesterday, I think, with a Yoshida RBI single to win the game. A really low-scoring game yesterday. Ronyer Suarez had a really good start and didn't get the win, but luckily the Red Sox were able to win the game at the very least. Don't think the Red Sox are going to win this game, though. I think this is a major pitching mismatch in favor of Detroit, of course, here. Detroit, but of course, Detroit's going to be a huge favorite. Detroit used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. The Red Sox only used 2, but they did use Chapman yesterday, although sometimes they use him multiple days in a row, even though he's like 38, maybe even older. I don't even know what he is now. Hitting-wise, the Red Sox have not been good. They're 23rd in offense. Detroit a little bit better, 17th. So the offenses haven't totally come around yet. I think both offenses are pretty talented, though, generally. The Red Sox bullpen has been pretty good. They're 7th right now in whip. Detroit, not bad either at 16th. So both bullpens are fine. But obviously, starting pitching, there's a huge edge for Detroit. Obviously, they have Skubal on the mound here. We know he's probably the best starting pitcher in baseball. It's probably between him and Skenes. 2.22 ERA, 0.95 whip. Really good numbers here. 23-4 strikeout walk ratio, 19 hits allowed, and 24 1/3 innings pitched. You'd kind of expect more strikeouts from him, but whatever. He's had one blip against Minnesota, but he bounced back right away. Whatever. We know he's really good. His numbers are good against the Red Sox, too, in 48 at-bats, 10-1 strikeout walk ratio, 229 batting average allowed, 495 OPS. Those numbers are all good. And he's going up against Brian Bayo, who I think his ERA has been misleading the last couple of seasons. He's really not that good. He puts way too many guys on base. This year, his numbers are just really bad. 6.14 ERA, 1.91 whip. I don't think he can continue to be this bad. And the one good thing, the reason why he's able to get away with putting guys on base, which, again, I still don't like it. I don't like pitchers that put too many guys on base, but he's able to limit the damage because he induces a ton of ground balls, which is good in Fenway Park because it's a hitter-friendly park, so there is that. He did pitch okay in his last outing, which was his only good outing so far this year. 6 2/3, 2 runs allowed against St. Louis, although that was on the road, more pitcher-friendly park there, and St. Louis is not a good offense, and he still had a 2.2 strikeout walk ratio, which isn't good, but, he did at least have a better start there. His numbers are not good against the Tigers in 59 at-bats, 9-4 strikeout walk ratio, 373 average allowed, 921 OPS. None of that is good. I think Detroit's going to win this game, but how do you attack this when they're at minus 167, 82% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Detroit here. Yeah, I don't know what the approach is here, man. The money is kind of coming towards the over here. I mean, it has. With 50% of tickets on the under. Yeah, 50-50 on the over-under here. 85% of the cash on the over. The total sitting at a very low 7. Obviously, if the money's coming in on the over, it's basically because Bayo is going to be the one that's going to make this game go over. You know what I mean? Because like a Bayo game, there should not be a total of 7. Okay, that's just the way that it is. Like 7 should be a pitching duel. Yeah, Skubal being in the game, obviously a 7 makes sense in that regard. But with Bayo on the mound, there's no way. Maybe the way that you approach this then is to go Detroit over their team total. Maybe that's the right approach here. Just take Detroit to score runs here. But then again, Red Sox bullpen has not been that bad, so that gets a little bit sketchy as well. I mean, you could lay like a Detroit -1 run line or make your own or whatever. That gets a little bit questionable on the road too, but I do think Detroit will win the game. So I think if you do that, you'll at worst push that bet. So if you wanted to do it that way, you could, but I just don't see a great method of attack in that game, really. Milwaukee at Miami, interesting game here. It looks like it could be a really good pitching matchup here, depending. Maybe it won't be, but it could be. Miami, let me see. They lost to Milwaukee yesterday. So they're on a 3-game losing streak right now. Miami, I don't think they're as good as they looked early in the season, but their numbers overall in the season look pretty good. They did use 4 relief pitchers yesterday, though, which is not good. Milwaukee used 5, my mistake. I think the game went into extra innings, so there was a lot of bullpen usage yesterday. So the bullpens look pretty fadeable here, even though Miami's bullpen has generally been pretty good at 9th in whip. Brewers, not quite as good at 23rd. So Miami probably does still have a bullpen edge here, just to keep that in mind. But it looks like you want to fade both bullpens here, though. Miami, 8th in hitting right now, but I don't know about that. 11th for Milwaukee. That's arranged by OPS. I think Milwaukee does probably have the better offense, so I think Miami's been a little bit of a mirage. starting out the season playing against some bad teams. Brandon Woodruff is pitching for Milwaukee here. I think he's good. His ERA doesn't quite tell you the tale at 4.32. That's not great, but 1.08 whip. That is a good whip. He's been pretty good since coming back from injury. He only had one bad start here against the Red Sox, and somehow the Red Sox still didn't win that game. Other than that, he's been good. So that was just kind of a blip for him. 16-3 strikeout walk ratio, fewer than 1 hit per inning allowed in 16 2/3. That's pretty good. Woodruff against Miami. His numbers are actually not great against them. Pretty mediocre, really. Or mediocre at best, actually. And 34 at bats, 9-2 strikeout walk ratio, 265 average allowed, 806 OPS is a little bit higher than you'd like to see here, although it is being skewed because Heriberto Hernandez has 2 home runs off him. So if you take that out of the equation, his numbers look a bit better. I don't really think Woodruff is going to pitch poorly here, though. He's going up against Sandy Alcantara, who has been in the Cy Young discussion early in the season. His numbers are still really good. 2.67 ERA, 0.86 whip, and that's despite getting knocked around in his last start. But they left him in for 100 pitches, 6 innings, which I actually kind of like that, even though it does mean he's throwing too many pitches. But that means Miami trusts him. Like, even when he's getting blown up in a game, they're like, no, go out there, get us some more innings. You know what I mean? Gave up 7 runs in that outing, but because they let him go 6 innings, it kind of limited the damage to his overall numbers a bit. But it is a concern that was his most recent outing, but it was skewed a little bit because he gave up 3 home runs, so that did make it look maybe a little bit worse, but he still did allow 10 hits in 6 innings there. Still, overall, 22-6 strikeout walk ratio is good. 20 hits allowed in 30 1/3 innings is good. The only issue is his strikeouts just haven't come back, dude. Like, he's not the guy that he once was when I think he won the Cy Young, maybe, back before he had his major injury issues, or he was in the running for it at some point. I think he did win it at one point. But his strikeout rate is way down since then, so he's having to become a different pitcher, man. I think his stuff is not really what it once was. So there are some concerns with him here. His numbers are good against Milwaukee, but some of this might be before his injury. 49 at bats, 13-2 strikeout walk ratio, 143 average allowed, 357 OPS. So those are good numbers. I was looking at this and thinking this game looked like an under. We have 58% of tickets on the over, 54% of the cash on the under. Totals at 7.5, which is probably about where it should be. Don't want to deal with the bullpen, so I think it would be a first 5 inning under here. Problem is Woodruff doesn't have great matchup numbers here, and Alcantara might be falling out of form here based on that last outing, so there are some concerns with it, so I don't want to put this on my card. I'll have a slight lean towards the first 5 under here still. I think you could see both pitchers put in good performances here in Duel here, which, for guys that like pitching duels, that's what you want. But there are some concerns here. Both of these pitchers are actually trying to come back from injuries. But Woodruff has been a bit more successful at doing so. And the money is coming in on Milwaukee here. Miami down to -108. So the money is kind of fading Alcantara here. 57% of tickets on Miami, 59% of the cash on Milwaukee. I don't know if I love that because I don't think Milwaukee has the better bullpen, as I told you. They do have the better offense probably. You could make the argument they have the better starting pitcher here, just better current form, but the matchup numbers don't really support it. So, yeah, I don't like it. I think still the best method of approach, method of attack there is first 5 under. All right, Baltimore at Cleveland. Cleveland did have kind of a letdown after Messick almost got them a no-hitter the game before that. Cleveland did fall back down, and they lost yesterday. If I fall back down, are they going to get back up again? I don't know. Cleveland used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. That's not a great sign. And their bullpen hasn't been as good this year as it was last year. Baltimore used even more, though. Baltimore used 5, so these bullpens are not in the greatest rest shape here. Baltimore's bullpen has been pretty good this season, though, at 5th in whip. But I don't know if they're a fully trustworthy bullpen, and they're not rested right now. Cleveland has been middle of the pack at best. Their ERA is actually really bad out of the bullpen right now. They're at 19th overall in whip and kind of used. So Baltimore probably does still have a bullpen edge here. Both bullpens look kind of untrustworthy here. Offensively, Baltimore is 13th, and Cleveland is 15th on OPS. So it's a close call offensively. They're both okay offenses, I think. Dean Creamer is pitching for Baltimore. He made the surprise start where they had not listed a starter back on Monday, and it wound up being Creamer, the Israeli. Never really been a fan of him, not because of that, really, but, well, maybe. No, but because he just hasn't really been that good of a pitcher. He was good in that outing against Arizona, though. He somehow was able to dodge 3 home runs and only allowed 2 earned runs. When do you ever see a pitcher allowing fewer earned runs than the amount of home runs they allow? Probably hasn't happened often, but his defense kind of, lapsed behind him. He had 9 strikeouts, no walks in 5 innings. So overall, that was a good outing from him. Arizona's been struggling offensively, though. I don't think Creamer's really that good, though. Look at his numbers last year. He was okay. I mean, last couple of years, he's been consistent, at least with an ERA a little bit over 4, a whip in the 1.2s, basically. It's not awful. So, he's a fine pitcher to throw, towards the back end of your rotation. Against Cleveland, his numbers are mediocre and 43 at-bats, 4-5 strikeout walk ratio is obviously not good. More walks than strikeouts. 279 batting average allowed, 726 OPS. Those numbers are not particularly good, but they're not awful either. Going up against Gavin Williams, who I pointed out in his last start that he made, his numbers are really, really crazy. It's crazy how lopsided his numbers are. Although overall, you see his numbers look really good. 2.38 ERA, 1.15 whip. But what I mean is his walk number is terrible. He's walked 16 guys in 22 2/3 innings. How is it possible that he has allowed so few runs? It's crazy. It's because he's only allowed 10 hits. So he's been basically unhittable. Although last start he was fairly hittable. He wasn't as good in his most recent outing. Cleveland has won his last 3 starts, though. But his strikeout rate is really high, but that walk number is literally out of control. Multiple walks in every start. That's a problem. You can't continue to walk that many guys and continue to not have them cross home plate. You know what I mean? Even if he is a really good strikeout pitcher, there's some issues here. Against Baltimore, though, his numbers are good. In 24 at-bats, it's a small sample. 7-3 strikeout walk ratio, 167 average allowed, 593 OPS. Those numbers are pretty good, so he does have the better matchup numbers here. What do we do with this game? I honestly don't know. If we're going to get, the best of Williams, I think he has a higher ceiling than Creamer. You know what I mean? Williams is the better strikeout pitcher. He has the better stuff. So when he's on, I think he is the better pitcher. 83% of tickets, 98% of the cash on Cleveland to bounce back after yesterday. They're at minus 133. I don't love their bullpen. I think if you want to go Cleveland here, I think maybe you got to go first 5 innings. I don't think they have that much of an edge with Williams over Creamer, though. I mean, his walk numbers are just insane. The money is hitting the under here. It's all the way down to 7.5. 50% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the under. Money kind of liking both starting pitchers here. Yeah, I mean, the matchup numbers for them aren't bad, and if you get, the best version of these pitchers will get you there, but, I would not do the under, including the bullpens, though, because the bullpens are pretty unrested. I'd probably go first 5 under, but that gets pretty dicey, too. I just don't really see an angle of attack here, man. This is one of the most difficult games on the board to handicap. I struggled with a lot of these games today. I don't see a good approach for that game, man. I might have a slight lean towards Cleveland there, but I really don't like it very much. St. Louis at Houston. We did get the over in this game. It was 9-4, not 9-5, my mistake. But, yeah, Houston's pitching really struggled in the game. Both offenses did enough to get us over that total with a decent amount of ease there. As far as the bullpens, Houston's bullpen is terrible, and they did use 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Part of the reason for the over yesterday was both bullpens are not good. St. Louis used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Houston, they're above Kansas City now in bullpen ERA, very, very slight. Or actually, no, their ERA is worse. My mistake. In whip, they're tied, but their ERA is still worse. So they're actually still worse than Kansas City. So Houston is still the worst bullpen in baseball right now. So they're a very fadeable bullpen. St. Louis is 22nd. Their bullpen hasn't been good either. So that was part of the handicap yesterday. We wanted to fade the bullpens. Houston's offense is 3rd in OPS, but maybe not quite as good as maybe they look. They did lose yesterday. St. Louis, I don't think their offense is that good. I do think both offenses are overrated here, but I did like them to get to those pitchers yesterday. Maybe they will again today. St. Louis is 14th in offense right now. Andre Payante is pitching for St. Louis. I don't think he's a very trustworthy pitcher. 4.8 ERA, 1.53 whip. That's not good. More walks than strikeouts is pretty egregious. 7 strikeouts, 8 walks in 15 innings. That's really bad. He doesn't have good strikeout stuff. Putting too many guys on base. Numbers against Houston, very small, 15 at-bat sample size, but not good. 1-2 strikeout walk ratio, 333 average allowed, 945 OPS. Those are bad numbers for Payante, so I don't trust him here. Mr. Pinsey, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Togue, yes. He's going up against Lance McCullers, who McCullers obviously has the ability to outpitch Payante here. He's had a better career for sure, but he's been struggling since last year, trying to come back from that injury. He's been struggling, dude. He had Tommy John surgery or whatever. He's had some really good outings and some really bad outings since then. So he's very, very difficult to handicap because he's so all over the place. This year, 5.87 ERA, 1.3 whip. He does still have some pretty good upside. He has more than 1 strikeout per inning here, fewer than 1 hit per inning. That's all good. In 15 1/3 innings, 17 strikeouts, 14 hits, 6 walks. Maybe a little bit concerning, but really his numbers aren't that bad, except that he failed to make it past 4 1/3 innings in his last 2 outings. One of them was at the A's, so maybe you give him a pass for that because that's a really difficult stadium to pitch in. Maybe you can't really give him a pass for getting blown up a bit by Seattle in Seattle. Seattle hasn't hit well this year, and that's a pitcher-friendly ballpark, so yeah, he's not in good form right now, so that's definitely a concern. Doesn't say much for the Red Sox that he pretty much dominated the Red Sox in his one good outing this year. St. Louis has basically never faced him, though. Only Urias has ever seen him before, and he's 1 for 2 off him with a single. No strikeouts, no walks. So McCullers is unfamiliar to St. Louis, but there is plenty of game film out there on him, although that can't really match, that can't match, like, seeing him in a real game environment, I think Houston does have some advantages here. I'm not going to disagree with the Houston side. I'd maybe go first 5 innings on it because their bullpen is so bad, but St. Louis's bullpen is bad too. I think McCullers has more of an ability to put together a really good start here than Payante does, and his matchup numbers are more... the fact that he doesn't have any make him a little bit more enticing here. Minus 140 is the number on Houston right now. It's gone up from minus 132. 71% of tickets, 86% of the cash on Houston. Money is agreeing with Houston. I will agree with that, but I think probably the better way to look at this maybe is still to go over here, because then you get both bad bullpens in your back pocket. Maybe McCullers won't be dominant here. I think Payante probably won't do well. 73% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the over here. Money, the total's gone up to 9. You know what? Based on what I just said, it's obvious, what probably the better method of attack here is, because McCullers is kind of an unknown here. I think what you do is you go Houston over their team total, man, because Houston might be in bounce-back mode after yesterday's loss, whatever. Their offense is still good. They're going to be facing bad pitching pretty much this entire game. Houston over the team total, I think, does make a lot of sense in this game. You're going to need them to probably score about 5 runs for you, though. They could definitely do it. So maybe that's the way I would go there. Tallest of all the gamblers? I'm very short, though. I'm 5'6", man. Charles, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. My ability to gamble makes me tall. How about that? All right, Atlanta at Philadelphia on Fox. 2 games on Fox that are competing with each other. This game is going to get more eyes, though. People are going to watch this game over Texas-Seattle. Like, everybody's going to want the offense over the defense, you know what I mean? Or over the pitching, I mean. Even though I like pitching, but actually both of these games have good pitching, too, though. And actually... you could definitely make the argument. I think the argument is actually correct that the pitching is actually better in this Atlanta-Philadelphia game as well. So it's an elite pitching matchup here in this Atlanta-Philadelphia game. Plus, people like these offenses probably. So, yeah, this game is definitely going to get more viewers. Well, that and they just have bigger markets, too, so it's pretty obvious. Philadelphia's lost 3 games in a row. They got shut out yesterday, 9-0 by Atlanta. I don't know if I saw that coming. I think it was who was pitching in that. I forget who was pitching in that game. I don't think I quite saw that coming. Although I think I did lean to Atlanta slightly. I think it was Taijuan Walker. Yeah. So I said, yeah, I thought the Phillies were going to get blown up. I think I liked the over in that game. I don't know if it actually went over or not. But Atlanta certainly went over their team total. And Martin Perez, again, doing his thing out there. He outpitched Taijuan Walker significantly, it looks like, in that game. But anyway, Philadelphia might bounce back here because whenever you have a team that gets shut out and blown out at home, a lot of times you get a much better effort out of them in the next game, and the other team might overlook them a little bit. Problem is, that means you have to fade Chris Sale if you like Philadelphia here. And I'm not going to never do that, but it'll take a lot for me to want to fade Chris Sale. Philadelphia used 4 relief pitchers yesterday, so that's not great for them. And I don't think their bullpen is particularly great. Atlanta only used 1, so Atlanta's bullpen is in much better shape coming into this game. Atlanta's bullpen has been good on the season, too, somehow. They're number 1 in bullpen, I believe both in ERA and WHIP, if I'm not mistaken. With San Diego second in ERA. Atlanta, I don't know how their bullpen has done this, but they have. Philadelphia's been better than you would think. Their WHIP is 8th best in bullpen WHIP, but their ERA has been bad, and their bullpen wasn't particularly good last year, so I'm not ready to say Philadelphia's that good in the bullpen. I would agree that the Braves have the better bullpen, and they're more rested. Braves have been the better offense this year so far, although I think they're going to regress, but I keep saying that, and they're still second in OPS. Philadelphia, you got to think they're going to get better at some point. They have too much talent on this offense to be sitting at 20th. So I think Philadelphia, their offense is at least comparable to Atlanta's. If not, I think maybe better if you look at who they have in their lineup. But Chris Sale is on the mound. Chris Sale, he's not slowing down yet. 3.27 ERA, 1.05 WHIP. Maybe, going through the grind of the season, he might get worse towards the end of the season because he is pretty old. But so far, he's looking pretty fresh. I think I have that clip, even though I don't want to prolong this video. Let me see. Yeah, I think this is the one that I want.
All right, looking good. Looking very fresh, very rested. Go Jazz!
I still need to watch Celtic Pride again before the Celtics start their playoffs here. Yes, looking very fresh. Chris Sale, 22-6 strikeout walk ratio for him. 4 home runs allowed is a bit concerning, but other than that, he's allowed 17 hits in 22 innings. We know who he is, man. He's good. Still good numbers overall. His strikeout rate is not even that down, so pretty good for him. His numbers against Philadelphia, they're good, although granted, some of these numbers were back in the day, you know what I mean? Like when he was a little bit better than this, but he's still good. 83 at bats here, so it's a big sample. 33-4 strikeout walk ratio is pretty good. 229 batting average, allowed 650 OPS. He's got good numbers against these Philly hitters, man. I think that it is likely that you're going to get a good start out of Chris Sale here. Tall, yes, that's right. Standing on my money. I stand on it. I stand behind it in principle and with my. Even though I should be actually putting real money on more of these games because I've been so hot, I'm kind of mad that I haven't been. I got to just turn this into a full-time pursuit or something, but I haven't actually totally done it yet. Yes, I don't remember what I was going to say, but yes, I stand tall that way, but I know you mean literally I'm going to stand on a pile of money. But all the money's digital, man, so it can be taken away from you in an instant. It's the battle of the Chris's here as Christopher Sanchez is pitching for the Phillies. 2.01 ERA is excellent, but his WHIP is a little bit questionable, 1.39. He's put too many guys on base here. His walk number has been a little bit questionable so far. Still, his numbers overall are quite good. 31 strikeouts in 22 1/3 is really good. Pretty elite strikeout rate there. 7 walks isn't even bad, but he's actually been too hittable, believe it or not. But most of that came in that one outing against San Francisco where his defense let him down, and he couldn't get out of whatever inning that was. And that's how I think they were able to get 11 hits off him in 5 innings, and he still somehow only allowed 2 earned runs. So I'm not ready to say that he's bad or anything because his WHIP looks bad right now. It's getting skewed by that one game against San Francisco, where now he's allowed 24 hits in 22 1/3 innings. But the more concerning thing is his numbers against Atlanta are not that good. in 91 at-bats. They've seen a good amount of him. 24-2 strikeout walk ratio is really good, but when they're able to make contact, they do hit him pretty well. 286 batting average allowed, 785 OPS. So maybe it won't be a bounce back for Philly here, man. Situationally, yes, the situation looks like it does line up for Philly to bounce back, but I don't know if I love that because Sale does have the better matchup numbers. Now, the money is coming in on Philadelphia strongly. Atlanta is... They're a huge public side here. 72% of tickets, only 68% of the cash. I say you got to be really wary of these public underdogs, which Atlanta is one of those. You don't want to be on the public underdog usually, and because it basically means they're at a disadvantage in the game and the public is on them. So that's kind of a double whammy where Philadelphia is now at -122. So maybe this is a spot where you can fade Chris Sale. The problem is, as I already pointed out, matchup-wise, looks like it favors Atlanta here. They have the more rested bullpen, the better bullpen. Sale with the better matchup numbers here. I don't love it. The market read is saying Philadelphia. The matchup numbers are saying Atlanta. So it's like, which one of those wins out? Do with that information what you want. The total is at 7. Like, if you think this is going to be a pitching duel, of course, it looks like a great pitching duel, so you should be thinking under in this game. Maybe. 84% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the over, though. But there's definitely a world where both pitchers do pitch well here. Both bullpens have been decent enough that I think maybe you could go full game under on this. It's on that key number 7 right now. I don't disagree with going a full game here under. I wouldn't disagree with that, but I don't know. It's a little bit questionable to me. I don't want anything to do with this game. Atlanta in the first 5. I don't think I really like that over the full game for Atlanta because I think Atlanta might have an advantage. Like I said, they have a bullpen advantage. They have the better bullpen, and the bullpen's way more rested here. So I would not, if I wanted Atlanta, I would not count out their bullpen in this game. No, I think I would go full game on Atlanta if I was going to play Atlanta, but I don't want to do it. The market read is saying to stay the hell away from that. So do with that information what you want. Texas at Seattle is the other Fox game. It's a decent divisional game. Seattle got shut out again at home. They were returning home from a road trip, but it was only a quick trip to San Diego. So I thought they would kind of be in bounce back mode here, and they were not. Seattle's not on a good run right now, but maybe they'll bounce back here after getting shut out. Logan Gilbert didn't really do that bad in the game, but he got outpitched by Jacob deGrom, I think. deGrom is really good. But the bullpen, Seattle's bullpen was just a little bit worse in that game too. But coming off a shutout, like I just said, with Philadelphia, that's a good situation for that team to bounce back typically after they get shut out at home. But, for me, it is matchup dependent whether I want to actually make a play on the game. Seattle used 3 relief pitchers yesterday. Both of these bullpens are pretty good. Texas used 5. So Seattle does have a bit of a bullpen rest edge here. Seattle's only 11th right now in bullpen whip. Texas is 10th. I think you could argue Seattle has a bullpen edge here just based on the rest after looking at what they did yesterday. The offenses, Seattle's just hasn't come around. They're at 26th right now, although I think based on who they have in their lineup, you got to think they're going to be better than that at some point. Texas's offense has been the better of the two, but I'm not convinced that they really are. They're at 12th right now, but based on who they have in their lineup, I don't think Texas's offense is significantly better than Seattle's, if it really is at all. Maybe Texas has a starting pitching edge. Nathan Eovaldi's on the mound here. His overall numbers don't look good, but I gave you guys a play on him at the A's stadium in his last game because he pitched well there last year, so that made me less hesitant to do it, and it worked out. I think he had. Maybe he hadn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I think that's correct. But he gave us a really good start. He got us a win there. We know, based on what Eovaldi did last year, we know he's not as bad as this. 5.4 ERA, 1.48 whip. His numbers were actually really good last year, and he might be coming into form. His last 2 starts were both good. One of them, though, against Seattle. So like I was pointing out yesterday, when these offenses are recently familiar with the opposing pitcher, sometimes that is an advantage to the hitters because they just saw this pitcher. So a lot of times, especially if they did poorly in that first outing, a lot of times they will do better in that next game. But Eovaldi's a veteran, man. So, Seattle, seeing him one more time, I don't think is going to help them that much because they've seen him a bunch anyway. And he's been really good in his last 2 outings. So, with 14 strikeouts and 4 walks. That's pretty good. 9 hits allowed in 13 innings. So he's in good form right now. His numbers against Seattle also good in that huge sample of 137. 40-9 strikeout walk ratio is good. 204 batting average allowed is good. 593 OPS. All those numbers are good. So yeah, Eovaldi may very well do well here. He's going up against George Kirby, who typically is better at home, which every Seattle pitcher is, and that's where they are here. He's been good this season. 3.25 ERA, 0.94 WHIP. He looks to be in pretty good form right now, too. Really kind of hasn't gone out of form. Like, he really hasn't had a bad start. The start that was the worst, he still went 6 innings in a loss to the Yankees, gave up 4 earned runs. None of that is bad. His strikeout rate isn't particularly high at 22 in 27 2/3 innings, but 6 walks, not bad. 20 hits allowed. That's very few hits. So he has been pretty good. Ground ball rate, very good. A lot of ground balls. So, yeah, he's been pretty good overall. Against Texas, his numbers are good in 127 at bats, 36-4 strikeout walk ratio, 220 batting average allowed, 536 OPS. Good numbers there. I think what that means is under is probably the way you want to look in this game. Total has moved up to 7, juice to the over, although we don't see the percentages yet on this. I think an under makes a lot of sense. Maybe you could go first 5 innings if you're worried about, Texas's bullpen is not very rested after yesterday. So first 5 innings, you might be able to find a 3.5 on this. Yesterday's game still went under, even though it was a 6.5. Like I said, I still did like the under yesterday. Just 6.5 is never really going to make my card just because I just can't do it. Even though professionals will tell me I'm stupid for that, but still 7 is a key number. But you're getting that 7 in this one. I think Eovaldi could be a little bit underrated right now because his numbers just don't look good so far this year. But like I said in his last start, he's a lot better than that. So yeah, I think under first 5 is probably the best look in this game. Not putting it on my card though. Seattle minus 138 here on the money line. 76% of tickets, 94% of the cash on Seattle. So the money is indicating on Seattle. Kirby does have the better numbers this year, and based on Seattle having more bullpen rest here, the bounce back mode for them, maybe their offense is a little bit underrated. I don't disagree with Seattle to finally break that losing streak there, but that's not on my card either, and I still think I prefer the under there. Dodgers at Colorado. It was crazy. Coors Field yesterday. The game almost got snowed out yesterday. It was snowing in the middle of the day, and then they still played the game. Really crazy, and I recommended under team total for Colorado in that game, and it happened. They only scored 1 run. The Dodgers won easily, so if you did do a run line on the Dodgers, they did cover it, but I would not recommend laying multiple runs on a run line. It's just ridiculous. The Dodgers only used 1 relief pitcher yesterday, so their bullpen is intact. Colorado used 2. Dodgers bullpen is actually second best right now in whip, believe it or not, even though their bullpen definitely struggled a bit last year. Their bullpen's been good this year. I'm not convinced they're this good, but they have been good. Colorado's bullpen, I think, is going to drop off at some point too, but they've been good. 6th in whip, so both bullpens have actually been good this season. Then we look at the starting pitching matchup. Maybe these pitchers are both a little bit under the radar, maybe. Emmett Sheehan is pitching for the Dodgers. He's a young guy. He's still got some talent here, although I know his numbers don't look good this year. 6.6 ERA, 1.47 whip. That's bad, obviously. His numbers were good last year, though, and he seems like he's getting better in every start here, so that's good. He's sort of coming into form. Had a 6-inning performance last time out, 3 earned runs allowed against Texas. 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, got a win. That was his best performance of the season so far. So I think he's better than what his numbers have shown so far. Against Colorado, he has been good. 44 at bats, 16-2 strikeout walk ratio, 159 average allowed, 491 OPS. Good numbers against Colorado. I mean, they're not a very good offense, even though they are better at home. They're still not a good offense. I guess the other concern here is, did he pitch in Coors Field at all? I don't know. Yeah, he pitched in Coors last year. He went 6 innings, allowed 4 earned runs. 2 home runs. I mean, you got to keep that in control, but I mean, it was at Coors Field. Overall, it wasn't a bad outing, though. 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, and he got a win in that game with a lot of run support. So he wasn't really bad in that start at Colorado last year. So I think he can definitely handle this pitching at Coors Field. Ryan Feltner's pitching for Colorado. His numbers look really bad. 7.3 ERA, 1.7 whip. I'm not going to argue that he's good, but he is going out of form. His worst start was his last outing at San Diego, which is not a good sign because their offense hasn't been very good this year. That's a pitcher-friendly park there, so yeah, that's not great. But maybe he might not be that bad here. His numbers against the Dodgers are somewhat serviceable in 54 at-bats, 241 batting average allowed, 730 OPS, a little bit high. The real problem is the walks. 8 strikeouts, 14 walks, but 6 of them are Muncy. So he kind of pitches around him and 3 to Freeman. Still not great. I don't know if we could trust him, but I actually think an under is actually worth considering in this game. The total's all the way up to 11. Actually, it dropped from 11.5 to 11. It goes to 11. I'm not going to play that drop. It's too long, but 80, and it might be a copyright strike. 83% of tickets, only 64% of the cash on the over. The public is obviously going to play an over. They're going to see 2 pitchers with really bad numbers. The Dodgers are playing in this game. It's in Colorado. The public is definitely coming in on the over here. The total is clearly high for a reason, but I think both pitchers might be better than their numbers suggest at the very least, and the bullpens might be a little bit better than people think. So I think an under might actually be the approach in this game. I don't want to do it, though. The Dodgers are minus 283 on the money line. Again, like I said yesterday, where they were minus 300, there's just no way, even though they have the advantage in pretty much every phase of the game. 79% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the Dodgers. Looks like they're actually taking money. I wouldn't do it, man. I really wouldn't. Yeah, those are my thoughts on that game. Ohtani, 0.5 ERA so far. Yeah, in like 3 starts or whatever. Yeah, he's been pretty good. I expect a little bit of regression there, but he's a pretty good pitcher. Toronto at Arizona. Arizona got the win yesterday, despite being in a really bad return home spot where they were returning from 3 series on the East Coast. They still won against Toronto. Arizona, they're playing well right now. I still am not sold on this bullpen. Their bullpen's been pitching well, but I'm not sold on it, man. They have no lefties in the bullpen. How could it be this good? They only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen is very rested after using nobody the day before that. Toronto used 3 yesterday. Their bullpen's not exactly in bad shape. But Arizona has the 3rd best bullpen whip, although their ERA is not good at 4.8. So I still think their bullpen's not as good as it looks so far. Maybe they're not like a horrible bullpen like I thought they would be this year, but I don't think they're great like they've looked so far in a lot of ways. Toronto, their bullpen ERA is not even that much worse, but they're down at 18th in whip. So, yeah, Toronto's bullpen hasn't been very good. And actually, yeah, their ERA is actually better. Their bullpen ERA is actually better than Arizona's. Hilarious. Arizona, you expect their offense to be a bit better, and it has been, actually. They're up to 18th now, so their offense is coming around. The Blue Jays have been dealing with a lot of injuries. They're down at 21st on offense, although obviously they can hit better than that. We'll see what we want to do in this game, though. Max Scherzer is on the mound. He might be nearing the end, man. His numbers are awful so far this year, and his elbow looks like this after the Tommy John surgeries and whatever. This is some bad stuff. 9.58 ERA, and that was back when he was on Texas. That video was from years ago. 9.58 ERA this year, awful. 1.45 whip, but of course, a lot of that is because he got blown up by Minnesota in his last game, which we got a win on that game with Minnesota in the first 5. Didn't trust Scherzer. I still don't. He's got 9 strikeouts, 4 walks on the season, 4 home runs allowed, 11 hits and 11 earned runs allowed in 10 2/3 innings. He had 1 good start at home against Colorado, and since then he's been awful and hasn't even made it through the 3rd inning in either start. Granted, they pulled him really early in a game against the Dodgers where he could have turned that thing around, so I don't know what that was about, but yeah, maybe he's on a short leash. I don't know. Things are not looking good for Scherzer. Now he's going up against the team that I believe drafted him, I want to say. Arizona, I think, was the first team he pitched for in his career. But he's faced them since, obviously, so I don't think that's that big of a deal. But against them in the past, 56 at-bats, 13-5 strikeout walk ratio is not great. 143 batting average allowed, 445 OPS. His numbers are good against Arizona, but the problem is a lot of those numbers were back when Scherzer was better than he is now. So current form, he's just awful. I think he's unplayable, even though his numbers do look good. in his career against Arizona. He's going up against Zach Gallen, who, of course, is the younger of the pitchers. Gallen, his ERA looks good at 3.6, but 1.45 whip, that's not good. So his whip is telling you that he's putting way too many guys on base. Last year, he pitched a little bit better at home than on the road, but he didn't have significant splits like Fott did last year. Gallen, I think he is a little bit better than this, though. Like last year, I think was kind of a bad season for him. I think he is a little bit better than that. His numbers are really not good this season, though. Only 11 strikeouts in 20 innings. He's not striking guys out. He's got 7 walks. Bad ratio there. More than 1 hit allowed per inning. None of that is good, dude. Although this month, maybe a little bit better. Maybe he's kind of rounding it to 4, maybe a little bit more here. 2 of those starts, he had 1 and 0 walks, so at least there is that. He's gone at least 5 innings in all these starts, and he had to face Detroit, the Mets, and Philadelphia. 2 of those games on the road. Not exactly easy offenses to face, even though I know all of those offenses have kind of been underperforming this year, especially the Mets. Against Toronto, Gallen's numbers are really bad. In 41 at-bats, 10-4 strikeout walk ratio, 439 average, allowed 1,172 OPS. That's probably not something you want to have a play on. So I think this game is an over. I think that's what makes the most sense in this one. The total dropped a little bit from 9.5 to 9. The money looks like it's fading that sentiment. 67% of tickets and 64% of the cash on the over. So the money's fading that, but you have 2 pretty questionable starters here, man. I still think the bullpens are pretty questionable. The offenses do have the capability here. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark, too. I think over makes sense to me in this one. But, yeah, the money's fading it. I don't really know why. 73% of tickets, 96% of the cash on Arizona for what that's worth. They're at minus 122 here. I don't necessarily want to disagree, but Scherzer does have the better matchup numbers still. But current form is awful for him. So I think there is more, maybe upside and better current form with Gallen. I still don't think I could really do it, though. I think an over is probably the opinion that I have there. Like I said, San Diego and Anaheim to finish this off. Anaheim beat San Diego 8-0 yesterday, despite returning home from beating the Yankees 11-4 in the last game they played against the Yankees, crossing the country. I don't know how Anaheim was able to win in a shutout again. Well, I do know. Soriano might be something, man. I mean, he was bad, like really bad at home last year, but that looks like it's not the case anymore because I'll have to look at the box score, but it looks like he was really good in that game. So we might have to adjust a little bit and admit that Soriano is actually really good. This could be a bounce back for San Diego now, though. Maybe there's a little bit of a letdown home return spot here for Anaheim. Maybe San Diego bounces back here. Both of these teams were hot to some extent, I think, coming into this series. Though I guess Anaheim, they only split with the Yankees, but they actually played really well in that series. Could have won all 4 games. San Diego used a lot of bullpen yesterday. They used, 4 relief pitchers, but their bullpen is good, and some of their better relievers didn't come into the game yesterday, including their closer, of course, Miller. They still have the better bullpen. I don't think Anaheim's bullpen is particularly good. They use 3 relievers, although our boy Silseth, who's still on this team and coming out of the bullpen, only went for 1 pitch. He's the guy that the Tower Gang guys like to make fun of me when I made that short at Top Lobster's house. Got that play right, by the way, if you go find that short on my channel from way back then. Silseth was making the start in that game, and I played on Anaheim, I think, in that one, and we got it right in the first 5 innings. But anyway, yeah, that's the only thing I know about him. But we got to handicap this game as a whole here, man. I think San Diego pretty clearly has the bullpen edge. They have the best bullpen ERA in baseball. Sorry, second best to the Braves. They're tied for the 3rd best whip with Arizona, which is ridiculous. San Diego is like an elite bullpen, though, and their best relievers are still around for this game. Definitely, they have the bullpen edge here over Anaheim. Not a good bullpen for Anaheim. They're 21st, so they've been a little bit better, I guess, recently, but still, I think they're pretty bad. Offensively, Anaheim actually has hit well. They're 4th in OPS, so their offense definitely has been putting up numbers this year. I don't think they're this good, but I don't know, man. If Trout stays healthy for once, they could be better than what we think. Part of the reason why their offense has been so bad, I don't think one guy matters that much, but Trout has not been healthy for years, and currently he is. So take that into account. San Diego's offense is probably the lesser of the two. They're 19th right now in OPS. They haven't really come around. I think they're an okay offense. German Marquez is pitching for San Diego. This is a really ugly starting pitching matchup. Marquez, he's not good, man. Change of scenery should help him a little bit, but because he doesn't have to pitch for Colorado anymore and pitch in Colorado. But 5.54 ERA, 1.69 WHIP. These are bad numbers, obviously. 10-4 strikeout walk ratio. Nothing great about that. 18 hits allowed in 13 innings. Not good stuff, although I guess he's been a little bit better in his last two outings. Had to pitch at home against Colorado in San Diego and still allowed 3 home runs in that outing. So that's pretty bad. He's allowed 5 home runs in 13 innings despite not pitching in Coors Field anymore. That's not good. Against Anaheim, his numbers are actually not bad. In 42 at-bats, 7-3 strikeout walk ratio, 238 average allowed, 717 OPS. Those are all right numbers. Maybe he will have a little bit of a matchup edge. I don't know. He's going up against Yusei Kikuchi. His numbers are really bad this year. 7.5 ERA, 1.89 WHIP. But throughout his entire career, he's been better at home. So usually you really want to fade him on the road, not so much at home. His one home start was better than the rest this year, although it wasn't very good. But it was a 5-inning, 4-run performance against Atlanta, who has been hitting well. And the good thing about it is he had an 8-1 strikeout walk ratio in that outing. So he is still better at home, but his overall numbers are very bad. 19-10 strikeout walk ratio, 24 hits allowed in 18 innings. That's all really bad. He's coming off getting blown up at the Yankees, although they still should have won that game because the offense was there for them. Blew it in the ninth. They blew it in the ninth inning, man. But yeah, Kikuchi was not good in that game, but it was at the Bronx. I mean, you can kind of give him a little bit of a pass for that, but his numbers are bad against San Diego. In 103 at-bats, 27-10 strikeout walk ratio, 301 batting average allowed, 887 OPS. Those are bad numbers. The money is still back in Kikuchi, though. Maybe just because he is better at home. I don't know, man. They're at minus 107. They flipped to the favorite. 59% of the tickets are on San Diego. 54% of the cash on Anaheim. I somewhat disagree with that. I think after yesterday's game, San Diego might be in a bounce back. The matchup numbers look a little bit better for Marquez. I think you have a bullpen edge for San Diego. I think I would slightly lean that way, but I think an over actually does make sense here. The number's up to 9.5, juice to the over. The starting pitchers, when I first saw the starting pitching matchup, the first thing that came into my mind was over. Even though Marquez has the better matchup numbers than you would think, Kikuchi is at home, so maybe it's not the strongest idea to do it, but that number has gone up from that key number of 9. It's all already with the hook and headed towards 10. 83% of tickets, 91% of the cash on the over. So yeah, the money is indicating on the over. Do with that information what you want. I do have a slight agreement with the over. You have to dodge San Diego's bullpen, but they're a little bit unrested right now, and Anaheim's bullpen is bad. So and like I always say, if the starting pitching does bad, it kind of dominoes into the bullpens. So when you go over, I think usually you just want to go full game with it and not worry about if the bullpens are good or not. But bad bullpens obviously does still help an over, though, which makes it like an elite play, which is why I thought that's why I liked that over yesterday that we won on, because the bad bullpens certainly came into play there as well. All right. So we only have one play. I already gave you my one play in baseball. I'm going to be right back because I do have to leave in not too long as well. But we got to talk about NHL playoffs. There are 3 games today. For some reason, it's 3 and not 4. And we do have 4 NBA games to talk about. And I don't have any plays in them, but we will talk about them in a second. I'll be back in a second. We'll do NHL next, probably because it's the less interesting of the two. I think it's interesting, but I think the public doesn't really like it. Yeah, I'm definitely an anti-dentite. I hate this stuff. I'm not a fan of it at all. It's like a test every time you go, and you're just wondering, what they're going to say about it. Although, my teeth are really not bad, but, I don't know. Every time I go, I just have this bad feeling about it. I've had a lot of fillings, man. So whenever I go, I'm like, yeah, something bad's going to come out of this. I'm going to have to go back and have more work done. I hate it all. I absolutely hate it. But I'll be right back. All right. NHL playoffs begin, man. Playoffs. I'm going to close some of these tabs here. I always have a ton up for baseball here. All right. Ottawa at Carolina is the first game up, 3 p.m. in the afternoon. ESPN is having a triple header here. So, a good TV spot that hockey gets, at least on the main sports network here. Ottawa at Carolina. I know our pal Jeffrey, who's out there, likes Ottawa to win this series, has money on them, but he didn't get the best number on it because the line has gone up, as we talked about when I did my bracket last night. The line has gone up on Carolina. Now, the one thing is, I think Ottawa probably does have the better goaltender here with Ullmark, so maybe that's a little bit of an edge with Carolina kind of mixing up between Bussy, who's a really young goalie, but he looks really talented, the Bussy, and Anderson, who's their older, the guy that used to be their standard goaltender. He's getting a bit older and hasn't been as good. Carolina's looking to find a way to mix the two. Of course, Bussy is going to be inexperienced. Don't love that goaltending situation here, so Ottawa might have an advantage there. Ottawa does, I guess, somewhat kind of play similarly to that Florida team that always gave Carolina problems. Still, I'm not sure if I see it, though. I mean, this Carolina team definitely has an experience edge, though. They've been through the playoffs multiple years. It seems like they always get to the conference finals and then lose. I don't have a good read on this game, though. Carolina finished pretty hot. They won 4 of the last 5. A lot of times I like to fade. So, generally, this applies to NBA and NHL. Generally, I hear very loud sirens out there. I absolutely hate that. I tend to like to fade what a team did at the end of the season because the playoffs are kind of like a reset. So if a good team just kind of packed it in early and looked bad at the end of the season, I like to maybe play on them in the first game. If a team was too hot at the end of the season, I kind of look to go against them. And the other thing is you want to maybe look towards unders and potentially unders early in these games, both NHL and NBA in the first game, because you have teams that have been off for a bit now, so that can kind of cool off the offenses, especially in the NBA, though. That can cool off the offenses, and, the defenses come out more ready to go. And it tends to be teams, they don't want to make mistakes early on, so they take less risks early on in these playoff games. You know what I mean? The defenses come out with more intensity. So all that to consider. So actually I got to look at Ottawa here for a minute here. Ottawa, they finished the season hot as well, though. So both teams finished pretty strong. Ottawa had to because they were still trying to make the playoffs. They're a wild card here. They won 5 of their last 6. With their only loss being that close loss to New Jersey. Then I do like to look at what do these teams do in their regular season series. ESPN actually makes that easier to do now. Carolina won 2 out of the 3 games. It looks like I don't know if the bottom team was the home team in these games. It looks like Carolina won on the road at Ottawa. Then they won at home against Ottawa, and then they lost the last game at Ottawa. But that was a game where Carolina already sort of was locked into their seed already, so Ottawa needed that game a lot more. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of a misleading result that Ottawa won that game 6-3. There was an empty netter there, but Ottawa just needed the game way more because Carolina, was basically just kind of playing for adjusting their seeding, whereas Ottawa was trying to still make the playoffs. So I don't think there's that much stock to be put into that game. Carolina is getting the money. They're up to minus 153, 72% of the tickets, 96% of the cash on them. Money looks like it is indicating on the under for what that's worth. Total's pretty low at 5.5. Possibly we'll get good goaltending both ways here. I don't necessarily disagree with an under. I know I almost never agree with an under in hockey. Pretty much I just stay away. But obviously I'm not recommending a play on this. But first playoff game, maybe it will be kind of a more defensive intensity type of a game here. Always risk, having a tie there, though, and having to, the 2-2 tie being broken would still give you a under 5.5, though. 67% of tickets, 63% of the cash on the over. I'm going to agree with Carolina slightly, though. Again, I think they did have the upper hand in the regular season series, and I think that last game can kind of be thrown out a little bit. So, yeah. Kyle, what's up, man? Why did YouTube not notify you? What's going on? You have the notifications turned on, right? In the bell thing there, where you subscribe. I don't know. All right, but yeah, I'll slightly lean to Carolina there. You guys know I took them in my bracket, so whatever. Minnesota at Dallas is the next game up. This is going to be a pretty good series. These two teams are close to even as far as what the odds makers are telling you, though. I actually think Dallas is the slightly better team, though. Dallas has more experience with deep playoff runs. It seems like they keep getting to the conference finals and losing, just like Carolina. Carolina doesn't have Florida in the way now, but as you saw in my bracket special last night, I don't have Carolina winning the conference. Dallas, I do have Dallas winning this series. I think the experience is fairly large. I do actually think Dallas has the better goalie with Ottinger over, I don't want to look at that. The regular season schedule. I just need to see how they finished. But yeah, I think Ottinger is a little bit better than Gustafson here. Dallas finished hot, though. They won 5 games in a row, but maybe that momentum will be slowed down a little bit. And they did beat Minnesota here, which was still a game that kind of mattered because they were still playing for home ice in this series. And Dallas beat them 5-4 at home. So maybe there will be a little bit of an adjustment for Minnesota. But that game was so close that I don't think it's going to matter that much. But I do worry that Dallas finished really hot. So sometimes that team will cool off a little bit, whereas Minnesota did not. Minnesota lost they lost 3 of their last 4 games and then finally beat Anaheim to finish. So if you go with that, momentum being stalled type of thing, yeah, it might hurt Dallas a little bit. I usually look at how good these teams are at home, by the way, too. Minnesota has a pretty good road record, though. Dallas, decent at home, but Minnesota actually pretty good on the road. Let me see here. As far as the regular season series is concerned, we already know, like I said, Dallas won the last game. These teams split the season series 2-2, and the home team won every game, I'm pretty sure. And one of the wild home wins was an overtime win. So home team does look like it has a bit of an edge here. That, of course, is Dallas. They are pretty good at home, although, again, Minnesota is good on the road. But the home team won every game during the regular season series. Money is coming in on Dallas. They're at -120. 60% of tickets, 96% of the cash on them. Very similar market read to the other game, where the money is coming in on the 5.5 under as well. 84% of tickets, 65% of the cash on the over. So the money is indicating on the under, I should say, even though the 5.5 is juiced to the over. So the market read is saying under in both of these games, is saying both home favorites as well. I don't really disagree. I just don't really have a strong opinion on these games. Like I said, a lot of times I like to wait and then zigzag what we saw in the previous game. I think that's where you can really get the best of some of these series here, So that's what we got going on there. I don't have a whole lot else there. Oh, I was going to look at, Carolina's home record here. I forgot to really call that out. It's good to know everything in the playoffs. Yeah, Carolina was really good at home, 29-10-2. Ottawa not as good on the road, really, although slightly above 500. But Carolina may have a decent home ice advantage there. All right, Philadelphia at Pittsburgh, the Battle of Pennsylvania here. Interesting game for sure. Like I said last night, I think Philadelphia has the better goaltending and the better defense. Pittsburgh is more of a finesse team. Philadelphia finished strong, winning 6 of their last 7, but they did that because they had to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh did finish bad. They lost 3 games in a row to finish the season. So that is the type of situation where I do kind of like to lean towards that team that finished cold, you know what I mean? Because Pittsburgh, the reason that happened was they were locked into their seed already, you know what I mean? So they just didn't play with a lot of effort in those last few games. But then the problem is you have to balance that with the fact that I like better defense, and that is Philadelphia. I don't like the goaltending on Pittsburgh with Skenes that they got over from Edmonton. Yeah, he's an experienced goalie. He's played in the playoffs, so we'll give him that. I think Pittsburgh has a little bit of an experience edge there. But Philadelphia's defense and goaltending has been better. So you have to try to weigh all that. And the style, I just don't like Pittsburgh. It's finesse. They get all the weight behind their name because they still have Crosby and whatever. But he's so old now. He's just not as good as he once was and whatever. So this is a hard game to read. I took Philadelphia to win the series in my bracket. The money, I'm surprised that the public is not on Pittsburgh here. That's what surprises me. 53% of the tickets and 51% of the cash on Philadelphia. Philadelphia does look like one of those dreaded public underdogs here. Pittsburgh is up to -144. based on how Pittsburgh finished the season cold and looked worse than they actually are, I might slightly lean to Pittsburgh just because of the spot coming into this game, even though I did say I like Philadelphia to win a more grinding series here with their better defense. But I think in this game, situation kind of makes more sense to lean towards Pittsburgh, and that is the way the money is going. This total is a little bit higher at 6, but it's gone down a little bit. The money is kind of coming in on the over in that game for what it's worth, but I think it's correlated, right? Because like I said, Pittsburgh is offense, Philadelphia's defense generally. So an under game benefits Philadelphia, an over game benefits Pittsburgh. So I think those are correlated. All right. I'm just checking out what the money's doing in these games that we have tomorrow. All right. NBA, to finish this off here. We have 4 NBA games here. All of these are on Amazon Prime, except the night game is on ABC, which is part of the ESPN family. Amazon Prime, it's kind of lame having to go to streaming platforms to watch these. It's so stupid, dude. Toronto at Cleveland is the first game up. Cleveland, I mean, they're definitely the better team here. They finished the season pretty hot, though, as well, so maybe you don't necessarily want to be on a team that finished hot. They beat a lot of bad teams at the end of the season. Cleveland did win a lot of kind of close-ish games, so that is one concern with Cleveland, is they weren't really a blowout team. They didn't really blow their opponents out. Toronto finished winning 3 of their last 4. Not a whole lot to see there, really. They beat Brooklyn to finish the season. They did have a couple of decent wins in there against Miami. You know, it's hard to gauge based on the finish that these teams had. There's not really much there to see. Now, the regular season series is actually, you know, kind of crazy. What people don't realize. Toronto won all 3 games against Cleveland this year. 2 of them in Cleveland. Toronto 3-0 against Cleveland. But the issue with that is those games were all in October and November. So these teams were not what they are now. I don't know what injuries might have been at play there. Cleveland obviously didn't have Harden yet. So I think you can kind of throw these games out, to be honest. These teams are just not the same now. And I think that might skew people in the direction of Toronto. Oh, my God, Toronto won all 3 games against Cleveland. But then again, the public might not even pay attention to that. They don't even dive this deep into these games usually, I don't think. So it is very interesting. It's an interesting quirk. Toronto is actually not a terrible road team. They're above 500 on the road. Cleveland was kind of mediocre at home, really. They had a decent home record, but not as good as some of these other teams did. So it's tough to gauge this. Cleveland's an 8-point favorite. They're a little bit public. 59% of tickets and cash on them. Obviously, I think Cleveland wins this series. If you saw my bracket special last night. Money coming in on the over for what that's worth, up to 220.5. But you know, I said that I like unders more in these first games, especially like first half unders make more sense when teams are, you know, feeling each other out early and their offenses are coming in a little bit cold. But in this game, do with this information what you want. But the market read is kind of saying to lean towards Raptors plus the points and money coming in on the over. I kind of like Cleveland a little bit, though. Just because the Raptors won all 3 regular season meetings, I don't know, man. I think I would lay it with Cleveland, even though I know they really did not have a bunch of blowout wins. They got to win by 9, basically, to get you that win, which does worry me a little bit. And the Raptors have been pretty good as a road dog this year, so there is that, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I lean slightly towards Cleveland, but I don't have a good opinion on it. Minnesota and Denver is probably going to be a fun series. Denver's only a 6.5-point favorite. 70% of tickets, 80% of the cash on them. So the money is indicating on Denver a little bit here. The money is indicating towards the under a little bit after it did go up on the total to 232, but we have 76% of tickets, 70% of the cash on the under. This is a game where I think the total is correlated, even though, yes, there is that thing about, you know, that I just said, like, these games tend to go under in game 1 because you get cold offense early, more intense defense, etc. But the T-Wolves, they want to play an under-style game, and they're the underdog here, but they're the better defense. The Nuggets have not been a great defense this year, but they're the much better offense. The Nuggets are an elite offense, like number 1 in the NBA probably. So that's the difference here. The T-Wolves are going to have to keep this game a bit slower to be in this game. But the T-Wolves have given Denver some issues in the past. You know, these teams seem to play in the playoffs all the time. And the T-Wolves have done pretty well against Denver. So that might be a concern for Denver. Denver finished the season beating OKC and San Antonio. That doesn't make me love Denver here, even though the money's coming in on Denver. That hot finish to the season doesn't make me like them that much. Minnesota did finish with 2 wins as well, but against Houston, which was good, and New Orleans, which was not good. So from a momentum perspective, I actually think Minnesota does have a little bit of an advantage here. I like the better defense getting points here. That kind of has me leaning towards Minnesota as well. Denver is actually not as good at home as you would think. Like, they play in the elevation, but 28-13 at home, that's not great. Minnesota, fairly good on the road at 23-18, so I don't think the home advantage is as strong as people might think it is for Denver. And looking at the regular season meetings here, Denver did win 3 out of the 4 games. Denver won at Minnesota twice. Then also won at home, but in overtime. And then Minnesota won the most recent game at Denver, which I don't know what happened in that game. Maybe there was some injuries going on. Now, Denver does have Aaron Gordon back. Their defense is definitely better with Aaron Gordon on the court. Denver does have some depth here, but I think overall, yeah, you could argue that Denver should zigzag after losing that last game to Minnesota. And Denver kind of dominated the season series otherwise, but all 3 of those other games the 3 games that they won were all early in the season, and one was an overtime game at home, so they didn't win it by that much, even though they won the other 2 games by double digits. But Minnesota didn't get blown out in any of the games. I lean slightly to the T-Wolves plus the points here. That's what I would do, and probably then it means, I guess, a slight lean towards the under there as well, but not a game I'm going to have any involvement in. Hawks-Knicks, this game, the Knicks are really good at home. I mean, that's one thing that needs to be known about this. The Hawks have been okay on the road, above 500, but the Knicks are way better at home than on the road. So the Knicks have some of the most significant home road splits, 30-10 at home, and they're almost 500 on the road. So the Knicks should have a bit of an advantage here at home. However, the Hawks actually won at the Knicks this year. The road team actually won every game during the regular season. The Knicks won twice at Atlanta, and the Hawks won by 12, the only time they played at Madison Square Garden, which is interesting. That game was in January. The most recent matchup, the Knicks won at home, won on the road, They won by 3 on the road. That was a game where I thought Atlanta had more to play for in that game, though, and Atlanta still failed. So that's actually not a good sign for Atlanta here. But one thing you could say is that if you look at the 3 results here, the Knicks won both road games by 3, lost at home by 12. So Atlanta covered this number every game. So the Knicks have not been able to beat Atlanta by more than 3 in any game this season. But, you got to take that with a little bit of grain of salt, I guess. The Knicks finished with an ugly loss to Charlotte to end the season. I think maybe they will then use this as kind of a reset. Atlanta finished a little bit hotter, although they actually did lose 3 of their last 4, though, including getting blown out by Miami. So they might show up here. But the problem with Atlanta is they did not have that many huge wins towards the end of the season. They were mostly beating up on bad teams. Then they did finally get a couple of good wins in here against Detroit and Boston. I guess Orlando, and then Cleveland is a good win. But, I don't know. Atlanta wasn't beating the best of the best there, really, for the most part. Although they did get 3 good wins towards the end of the season. I think I'm going to lean to the Knicks here, though. I think they're the better team. I think both teams will show up here. Knicks are at 5.5. The money is coming in towards the over, though. 79% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the over. And I think this is also a correlated total here. I think the Hawks want this to be an over game. The Hawks, I think they go faster. They take a lot of threes. So I think the Hawks want this game to go over. The Knicks probably would prefer an under game, although that might make it more difficult for them to cover. So those are kind of in conflict with each other. The fact that the money is coming in on the Knicks and the over here. I'm going to lean Knicks, though. And maybe if it is a higher scoring game, it might make it easier in a way for them to cover because it's just more points will be scored. Now, if the Hawks are going to do damage in the series, they're going to have to be hitting threes. And the Knicks do allow a lot of threes. So that's like the one thing that might keep this series maybe closer than people expect. I think it's going to be one of the more competitive series that we do have. I think it might be a very home-centric series, though, with the way the Knicks have huge home-road splits, although that hasn't been the case in the regular season at all, which is crazy that the regular season went the complete opposite way. But maybe, small sample size, that was probably a little bit of an outlier. Okay, so slightly into the Knicks for me, and then Houston at Lakers on ABC, the night game. Houston's a 5-point favorite here, but of course, we know that's because Luka is not playing, Reeves is not playing. Houston's a pretty big favorite here, but Luka might come back at some point during the series, man. He is not coming back yet for this game, I don't believe. It looks like Kevin Durant is on the injury report. I think he'll play, though. It looks like he's supposed to play today. I think probably just, oldness management probably. Reeves and Doncic are supposed to be out for a bit longer, although, again, like I said, Luka, I think, is already pretty close to coming back. Reeves, I don't think is. Anyway, what do we do with this game? I mean, the Lakers are getting 5.5 at home here. Now, the Lakers, for most of the season, they did bad as an underdog for most of the season. Whenever they were installed as an underdog, they pretty much lost and failed to cover until late in the season. They actually started covering as an underdog and doing better, which maybe they'll be able to do here. The Lakers, I worry about their defense still, though. Their defense is still not totally up to par. LeBron's a bit older. His defense is pretty questionable at this point. The Lakers finished with 3 wins, but I don't know how much we can really draw from that against 2 play-in teams and Utah. Houston, they're in better current form right now. They did finish with a win over Memphis, but that's kind of whatever. They beat some bad teams down the stretch, too, for the most part, though. But Minnesota finished really hot, though. But I think it's actually, why am I saying Minnesota? Houston. Houston finished really hot, but they beat a lot of bad teams in here. Like I said, Houston did lose to Minnesota at home, but that might actually help them, because if Minnesota was coming into this game on like a 12-game win streak or whatever, I would not want them, because this could just totally end that momentum. But the fact that they lost their second to last game, I think might actually help Houston coming into this. However, I just think the line is too high, dude. The money's coming in on the Lakers. I think it's an overreaction to all the injuries for the Lakers. I think it's not really an injured player spot, because the Lakers have already played without these guys for a while, but again, I just think the line is just overinflated towards the Rockets because of the injuries. 56% of tickets are on Houston, 86% of the cash on the Lakers, so the public doesn't really want the Lakers in this injury situation that they're in. I'm going to lean Lakers here, plus the points, and the total is also low. I think if I was going to play any of these games, I think it would be actually the Lakers plus the points, because it agrees with the market, and I think it's just pretty clear there is some value in that number there. But matchup-wise, I don't know, because the Rockets do have the better defense, but you'd prefer to have the better defense as an underdog. Money is coming in towards the under. It's a low total, dude, for an NBA game at 208. What are we, in the 90s again? No, in the 90s it would be even lower than that, but 208 is low. So it looks like it's going to be, maybe Lakers struggling to score without some of their offensive weapons, obviously. Rockets like to play more of a defensive game. I don't disagree with the under. 78% of tickets on the over, 59% of the cash on the under. You'd think that the under would help the Rockets, but I don't know if it's going to help them cover as a road favorite. A lot of times a lower scoring kind of grinding game means that home dog is going to be staying in that game. Yeah, I would lean to the Lakers in the under in that one. And that's it. It's going to do it for today, man. We'll be back to talk more playoff stuff tomorrow, more game ones tomorrow, where I don't know if I'm going to have any plays or not, but I don't really see anything that I really love today. Once again, we only have 1 play today. We're being super selective. First 5 under the 3.5 in Rays Pirates there, which is Rasmussen and Skenes. I like that starting pitching matchup. That's what we're going with. Hopefully it doesn't get blown up by a bad inning or something. Let's go. Let's get that under. That's going to do it. I appreciate it. Gonna, head into the torture chamber, and it's going to be death. I know it's going to be bad. Anyway, whatever. Learn to Toad on Twitter and Learn to Toad on Instagram. Check it all out. Subscribe to the channel here, and get the notifications sometimes when I go live. Do all that. Listen on audio as well. It helps me out. The numbers have been going up on audio, so that's good at least. Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. Patreon.com/LearnToToad for some bonus stuff. Losercast Tuesday nights. And I think that is it for now. That's going to do it. I appreciate it, guys. William, what's up? You're in right at the end of the show, though, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. All right. Peace.